Welcome to another pencast. What we're going to be looking at is modelling production externalities. Alright. So there are basically two kinds, aren't there? Do you know what they are? Well, there's the negative production externality, and there's the positive production externality. Now, just remember just a couple of words here. Remember that for negative, we could use the word detrimental. And we could use, instead of positive, we could use the word beneficial. But I know which is easiest to spell, and it's the first two, negative and a positive. Well, production is about creating costs, isn't it? So production is about creating costs. Therefore, if you've got a spillover cost, in other words, what I'm talking about is a third-party cost, then when you account for it by adding. If you encounter a spillover benefit, then what you want to do is you want to subtract. Because if you think about it, this benefit here is the polar opposite of a cost. In other words, a benefit in this circumstance is a negative cost. Okay, well, just creating a bit of space for ourselves, putting this over here. Now, a simplification is this: that if we're going to be talking about production externalities, then we're going to make a simplifying assumption. We're going to assume that there are no consumption externalities. So what I can do is I can write marginal benefit plus externalities, or I could use in other words spillovers, equals the marginal social benefit. So because we're talking about benefits, we're talking about consumption. The simplifying assumption is that there are none of these. That is zero. So what you can see is we now have that the marginal benefit equals the marginal social benefit. And these two equal the demand curve. So in talking about production externalities or modelling them, we're going to assume that there are no consumption externalities. Right. So let's get in and model a negative production externality. Alright. So here's our starting position. Supply equals marginal cost. Now we want to know where to position the marginal social cost curve. So let's get into a bit of accounting. So what we've got is the marginal cost plus the spillover cost. Why cost? Because we're talking about a negative production externality. Some damage has been done. Somebody has incurred an injury, and that injury could be being incurred by the environment. So we add those together, and that'll give us the marginal social cost. What I want you to see is that the marginal social cost is greater than the marginal cost. This tells me that the marginal social cost curve needs to be higher than the marginal cost curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to confidently put that in, and that's my marginal social cost curve there. Now this is where the simplifying assumption comes in about no consumption externalities, because what I'm going to do now to complete the model is I'm going to add in the demand curve. Demand equals marginal benefit equals marginal social benefit, and we're done basically. Now, from the free market's point of view, it wants to supply this quantity Q1, because that's where marginal cost equals marginal benefit. But that perspective is too narrow. We want a societal perspective. We want the societal optimum. And where's that? Well, that's up here, isn't it? From society's perspective, we're saying, we don't want Q1, we want Q2. In fact, what the analysis is saying is that we actually want less. And that's what you'd want where a situation involves negativity, isn't it? You want less of the negativity. Okay. Why don't we try a positive production externality? Okay, so let me just write it up here. Positive. I'll just change colour. So we want a positive production externality. Right, so here's our starting position. Supply equals marginal cost. Now the question is, where do we locate the marginal social cost curve? Look, let's get in and do our accounting. Marginal cost plus can't be plus, it's got to be negative, doesn't it? So it needs to be a negative. So minus the spillover benefit equals the marginal social cost. So what we can see from this is that the marginal social cost must be less than the marginal cost. It tells me that my marginal social cost curve must be below my marginal cost curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in there. There it is there. There's my marginal social cost curve. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to employ that simplifying assumption. I'm going to assume that there are no consumption externalities. So I'm just going to put in the demand curve. I only need one demand curve. That's demand equals marginal benefit equals marginal social benefit. Okay, so let's get in and analyse what's going on. What does the free market want to do? It wants to supply this quantity here, doesn't it? Because that's where marginal cost equals marginal benefit. But that perspective is too narrow. It's not taking account of all the indirect benefits and costs, and in particular the indirect benefits that are evident in this scenario. So that's what society wants. It wants more. And if you think about it, that's the right answer, isn't it? Where you've got a lot of positivity, you actually want more of that. Okay. Now, what I want to do, get a little bit technical. So basically we're done, aren't we? Basically, look. Basically, we've got our two. Basically, we've got our two models. One is saying that we want less from society's perspective. The other one is saying that we want more. And that was easily done. All right, I'm just going to reduce these in size again. I'm just going to talk about a side issue really, but some of you will enjoy the discussion hopefully. Now look, I'm going to call this the short run marginal cost curve. I'm going to call this one here the short run average variable cost curve, and this is the price line set at P1. This is perfect competition. Where's the shutdown point? Okay, hopefully you said it's right here, and you would be right. Now, what I want you to see is that above the shutdown point, the firm's marginal cost curve is also a supply curve, because at this price P1, that's the quantity that's going to be supplied. If the price level goes up to P2, then this is going to be the quantity that's going to be supplied. Or another way to write this is that supply equals marginal cost. How about that? Now, one more little bit, and then that will be it. So here we've got a demand curve. Now look, if you go from 10 units to 11 units, you're working at the marginal, aren't you? You're going to demand one more unit. The price that you pay for that one more unit is a measure of the extra benefit that you're going to get, isn't it? One extra unit will supply extra benefit. And the price has to be generally less than or equal to that extra benefit. Another name for that extra benefit is the marginal benefit. So that's why we say that the demand curve is also equal to the marginal benefit curve. Alright, well, that's it from me for now. Catch you later.